Gonna win, long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. Long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Oh my goodness, here we are, another show. And this week I've got Ben Westerby. So Ben, you're not helping accountants and bookkeepers. You are an accountant or bookkeeper, aren't you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am. Thank you, Ashley. So I'm an accountant, always worked in industry, worked for large corporates, worked for owner-managed businesses, family businesses, and then about 18 months ago decided to set up on my own and try and help small businesses as a part-time finance director.
Ah, awesome. So part-time, that means you just work a couple of mornings a week? Is that what you mean by part-time?
Yes. So I work part-time with different businesses.
Okay.
So I did. I sort of fell into this about 3 or 4 years ago. I was between jobs, and I took a 3-day-a-week interim role. And 2 years later, I was still there, and picked up another few things along the way, and then realised that there was a lot of businesses out there and business owners that needed a bit of support, but probably didn't need a full-time resource in-house.
Right. Okay. So I'm running a bigger company. I'm turning over about £1 million. I've got a few staff. I may have a bookkeeper in the office. I then put my other stuff to an accountant. And so you parachute in a day a week, half a day a week or something, and just, is that right? Is that what you do?
Yeah, normally it's to help sort of look at forecasting, be there for board meetings, help the business owner plan for growth, can be borrowing as well. But then I also realised that I was helping develop and mentor the accountants in the business, the bookkeepers, and sometimes other board members as well. So as well as doing that, last year in my first year of business, I thought, why don't I do a coaching and mentoring course as well? So I did that as well.
Wow. Okay. So, oh, right. Okay. This is brilliant. So pretty unique what you're offering then, Ben.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's that sort of sounding board, but with a finance angle as well, because most business owners probably use a coach or mentor, and if they don't, I'd probably strongly urge them to do it. I've used one for 12 months or so now, and I found massive benefits for it. But a lot of them have finance questions as well, because nobody wants to admit that they possibly don't understand all this jargon that us accountants use.
Yeah, there's a great story. I don't know if you've heard it. Pavel's watching. Hi, Pavel. How you doing?
Hi, Pavel.
So, what's he called? Richard Branson. There's a story of him being in a meeting, and it's a board meeting, and it's Virgin, and everything's going on, and one of the finance guys turns around and says something, and Branson just looked at him blank, and he said, like, should we step outside? And he took him outside, and he said, you don't know what this means, do you? And that's the beauty, isn't it? Because we set up a business because we love what we do. I love helping people. I love coaching people. So I've set up this business. I love LinkedIn. So I help people with that. I didn't set my business up to do debits and credits and bank reconciliations and tax returns. Goodness gracious me. And so that's why we need to surround ourselves with people like you then, Ben.
Yeah, and I think I've probably been looking, some of the bigger businesses I've worked in, I've had the opportunity to help people at all levels sort of understand the finances. So I worked for a big soft drinks business that were global, and I were producing these reports every week. And I phoned the factory manager up. I went, does anybody actually use these? And he's like, I went, what if I came across and went through and sort of explained what they meant and how they could affect them? And I did that at the 2 sites that I looked after. And what I found was when you speak to people, you have to speak to them in a slightly different way. they were like really open to it. So probably been doing that now in businesses for about 15 years or so. So it sort of comes naturally, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy working with the people rather than hiding behind a screen and a spreadsheet.
Yeah, perfect. I love that. So, most of the accountants and bookkeepers that are watching this show, listening on the podcast or what have you, are doing the normal stuff. So they're doing the tax returns, and especially January. This has been recorded in January if you're listening later on, and so if you are watching live, so thank you. But this time of year, it's just manic for accountants and bookkeepers. But then you've also got the tax returns, the payroll, and stuff like that. So why didn't you go into that?
I'll be honest with you, compliance doesn't really float my boat. I've never worked in an accountancy practice, always worked in industry. And my preference is to work with business owners on the business strategy forward looking. But what I found when I go into businesses, they sort of go, I'm really good at this bit of my business, which is why I set it up. And can you pick up finance? And also, can you help with all these other bits that I don't really want to do? And that's what I've enjoyed working in owner managed businesses previously, which I know is slightly different to how most people set up. Most people set up doing compliance and bookkeeping and then progress and add some advisory services.
Sure.
But I was in a fortunate position that I probably had a couple of clients when I made the jump. So I already had that. So it's like, actually, this is where I can probably add the most value.
Right. Okay. So you left school, and then what did you do after leaving school?
So I did my A levels, and then knew I wanted to be an accountant. And I looked at SEMA. I spoke to a few people and thought, I only want to work in industry. So I started working for a family-owned business and did SEMA on an evening and a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And did that, and then progressed up and worked for some large businesses, which were fantastic because I got a really good learning experience and understand how they worked, but kept always sort of dipping back to these owner managed and family businesses, which were probably more enjoyable, where you can add much more value and probably be yourself a bit more as well.
You're good at being yourself as well, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But I've got a fantastic question from Alec. Okay, how many of the businesses you're involved with have a business plan and track it? Great question, Alec.
Is that when I start with them or when I finished with them?
You tell me. I'm guessing from your answer, nobody does. But by the time you finish beating them around the head with a wet kipper, they're doing it.
It's interesting because when you speak to a lot of business owners, even myself, when you start out, it's like, right, where do you want to be? And I always say, if you don't know where you want to be, how are you meant to get there? So it's normally start off to go, right, let's start with where you, and try and build it quite high level. And then some businesses will have a budget, but often it's, oh, well, it was last year plus 10%. So I try and build it up and go, right, if there's a difference between the two, what are you going to do differently to get there? But the second part of Alex's question, how do they track it? A lot of businesses I know get the information predominantly from external accountants, or it can be a bookkeeper. It's not always timely, and it doesn't often report against anything else. So you're going, how are you doing? And they might compare against last year. But one of the things I like timely management information that we actually sit down and discuss. So that's one of the things that I bring to the businesses is go, right, we need these monthly meetings. And some businesses like, I don't need a budget, I don't need this. But once you've done a few meetings with them, it's like, I get the benefit now, I can understand it. And I think it's really important for somebody going in an advisory role to demonstrate you can add that value fairly quickly. I was talking to somebody about it the other day, and I think historically you see all these 90 days and 100 days go in and don't do anything. I think as a consultant, you've not got 90 days. Sometimes your contract might be 90 days. You've literally got to add value from day one.
Yeah.
And the benefit that you have is when you're working with several different people at the same time, you bring the best bits from each one and your learnings from each one. So yeah, I get the businesses to a plan and get them on it. If businesses ain't got a plan, you're definitely not alone.
Yeah, no, I like that. Right, great question, Alec. Thank you. And if anyone else has got any questions, then drop them in the chat. So you set out on your own. You have to start looking at marketing, and this is the biggest problem that we all have with our business is marketing. So what did you start doing there, Ben?
I think I've reached out to businesses that I'd worked with before, maybe on a part-time basis, or and some people that I knew from working with that had set up on their own. Reached out to my network as well. So when you start doing that and speak to recruiters, you do that. But obviously, as accountants, we're not all particularly well known for being outgoing and selling ourselves particularly well. So it's fair to say it was a bit of a challenge. I was on, so I'd started doing that, and I was on LinkedIn, and I thought, right, I need to start posting some things. I was more of a lurker, hiding away in the background. Didn't really post on LinkedIn, if I'm honest, until I set up my own business. But had watched other people that had set up and thought, actually, it's probably the best tool out there for me, as well as networking and meeting people. So yeah, I didn't think it's fair to say I didn't really know what I was doing and probably lacked a bit of confidence at the start.
Okay. You said networking as well. So you physically going out and drinking coffee and eating breakfast baps or something?
Yeah, drinking a lot of coffee. I used to plan like days. So I'd go into Leeds and I'd try and arrange meetings. So sometimes you could have like 5 or 6 meetings in a day. And then obviously we've got Zoom, Teams, even old-fashioned telephone calls I do at the minute. So you can walk and talk.
Yep.
I think that's the new one for this year. But yeah, getting physically out there and meeting people.
No, fantastic. And obviously you said a little bit of LinkedIn. You're a little bit shy and wary about doing anything on LinkedIn to start off with. So what was your thought process? Because people watching and listening to this are in your shoes. So what sort of things were you going through when you were thinking about posting instead of lurking?
So there were some bits that were quite easy to post. It's like, I've set up my new business. It's quite easy. I had a website that went live. That's quite easy. But then I'm like, what do you talk about as an accountant? And who's interested in what an accountant's got to say? And I think I was also conscious to go, is my profile right? Because you set up on your own. Your profile on LinkedIn's almost like your CV that you send to recruiters before. So it's like, hang on a minute, I need to take this seriously. And I went out and got some photos done. So decided I needed to have a website and I needed to have a photo shoot, and I got some branded stuff. So I got my branded hoodie on, and I thought, right, I best sort of invest a bit in speaking to somebody that knows what they're doing on LinkedIn and take some learnings from that to see how I can sort of start putting myself out there and hopefully generate some work from it or awareness from it.
Okay, so you started posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You're still using LinkedIn to create content, is that right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So how often did you, when you started off, how often were you creating content when you first started?
I think when I first started, I were quite hit and miss. So I wasn't consistent. If I look back in terms of everything that people say, especially yourself, Ashley, be consistent. And I'd post and I wouldn't post and I'd post. And then it was like, right now. And I think once I committed to it, I think at first started post a couple of times a week. And then I went, right, I'm going to post 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, which I know probably to start off with is not the best thing to do. But I'm like, right, I'm committing to it. And that's what I did, and had a bit of a plan in terms of, I had an Excel sheet, Monday to Friday, weeks down, and rose down and right, what can I post about? And started posting about various things, and just sort of started to gain confidence from that.
So basically, it was just starting and going for it, and having that commitment. Then, so that spreadsheet kept you accountable.
Yeah, I think having that spreadsheet kept me accountable and checking in as well. So you need somebody to keep you accountable, especially at the beginning, to say, right, what is it that you need to do? Do you need to reach out and speak to people? Funny enough, if you don't speak to people, how are you meant to increase your network and get work? And then I was worried around what to post. And I know we've had a lot of conversations around this, and it's like everything's content.
Yep.
Look through your camera roll on your phone, read things, and it would sort of gaining that confidence. And when you post, you realize it's not quite as scary as what you probably imagine. And all we're talking about at the minute for me was just words and posts and maybe some pictures. And then I think somebody told me that you maybe should do video, which seemed like the scariest thing you could possibly do.
Oh, you're admitting to it, are you?
Doing
video is the scariest thing you can do. Pavel's just said here, well done on what you've done, but it's uneasy to get that level of consistency and frequency. So because you had the spreadsheet, that kept you consistent.
Yeah, definitely. And I had a tracker that I filled in every day for probably a year, and it had days on it, and it were, what's your connections, how many people you've connected with, how many posts have you done, and I'd plan it to say, this is what I'm going to do. So then I know, right, that's what I'm saying, what I'm going to do. I'll be honest, I never really planned ahead. And people, probably for 6 months, I probably never scheduled a post. Never. Everything. And I didn't even think about what I was going to post. I just sort of winged it on the day.
Okay.
Now I've progressed slightly from that.
Progressed and then some. That's the thing. You've taken it to another level. So let's just go back a little bit, because people have seen your videos. Your video today is absolutely amazing. So you have to go and look at Ben's video today. So someone said you need to do video, and your first thought was what?
Yeah, it's like, what on earth? And I remember you spoke at the SEMA MIP conference where I was at as well. And I think you said, how long does it take to do a 30-second video? How long does it take to do a 30-second video? It's 30 seconds. But it literally is that. And what I did at first, which I've seen a lot of people say about it, is do a video just for yourself, don't post it, and then do another video and do another and do another, because you're never going to be happy with your first video. And actually, before we came on today, I looked at one of the first videos I posted on LinkedIn, and it does make me cringe a bit now, but without that, I wouldn't have done the videos that I've done since. And actually, I mentioned it before, is most people are very supportive on LinkedIn and encourage you to do it. And actually, everyone thinks they need to be perfect, but nobody wants perfect. And in the best will in the world, people like sort of don't care that it's not perfect, or you didn't say that word or that. They're just happy that you're doing something. They might get something from it. They might laugh. They might find something useful. And that's what with everything that I post, it's like, if it helps one person or it makes one person smile, it's worth doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you did your first video. So we also want to see that. You need to put a link at the end of the show, put a link to the first video or the early video, and a link to today's video, because like you say, they are poles apart. But, and this is the thing that you said, you said, without doing that first video, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now. And that is the thing, is taking it to the next level. So when I do my training, I talk about you because of what you're doing on LinkedIn. Okay. And so there is a slide dedicated to you in my slide deck when I'm teaching LinkedIn. Guess what I talk about, Ben?
Jokes that I do on a Friday.
Absolutely. I turn around and I say, what does this guy do on a Friday? And without fail, you do a joke. It started off, it was just words like, what do you call a so-and-so with a thingy? And then there's the answer and it's funny, but it's a proper cracker joke. It's a proper dad joke, isn't it?
Yeah.
But now you're standing there doing videos, you're mixing other bit of content in with that as well. So what sort of, why did you start doing videos on a Friday for a start? That's the first thing, because you're an accountant, you're an FD, you're a mentor, you're a coach. You're not a comedian. Why are you doing jokes?
So I think because I've done your training, Ashley, and part of your training, you talk about if you're struggling for content, what do you talk about? And doing things for specific days of the week. And I'm like, actually, I'm posting LinkedIn. And you know what? I try not to take anything too seriously. It's like I'm enjoying it. One of the reasons that I set up on my own, enjoy it, be yourself, help people. And I'm like, right, Friday fun. It was like with some of the other things, tax tips Tuesday. I'll be honest, I probably would struggle. I probably know a bit more than what I'm probably thinking. But I thought, right, Friday fun works. And I did a couple of jokes. And like I say, it were just words to start with. And then I didn't do it. And I had a few people messaging me going, where's your joke? I miss your joke. So, right. So I brought them back and started doing it. And then one week, I can't remember why I thought, right, I'm going to, I tell you what, the joke I had didn't really work with words. So I thought I'm going to have to do it with videos.
Hooray.
I'm going to have to do it with the video. And I did it. And I got a really good response from it. So I thought, right, I'll give it another go. So I give it another go, and it went down really well again. So I sort of just continued it. I thought, right, what have I started? Now I'm just going to have to continue. And the first video I did was the first joke video was August last year. So coming up to 6 months now.
Wow.
But what I found was when I went to events, people had come up and go, oh, you're Ben from that. You're the guy that tells jokes on LinkedIn. It's like, yeah, I'm also a finance director and do other things as well, but that's fine. And it's sort of the best moment of that war. I was at down in London graduating from my ILM. So it's like I'm there in cap and gown. And one of the directors of ABM came over and went, you're Ben that tells jokes on LinkedIn.
Brilliant.
And it's like, actually, do you know what? It's a bit of fun. It's the end of the week. Most of the time we've had a tough week. It's a bit of fun, but then people feel like they know you. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the feedback that you get. And as I said to you, if it makes one person smile, I'll keep doing it.
But you're getting loads of comments on your post on a Friday.
Yes.
You're getting DMs as well from people?
Yeah, I get messages from people. And actually, I went to a networking event and met this guy, connected with him on LinkedIn. He saw my joke and he messaged me and he's like, I need to work with you. He went, you're an accountant and you tell jokes. He went, I love it. He went, I would need to work with you. So I've done some work through that as well. And I think it just shows a bit more personality and the amount of people on LinkedIn. People go, it's a challenge just to stand out. But for me, it's be yourself, enjoy it. And if, like I say, if it leads to stuff, it leads to stuff. But Friday's a bit of just enjoy it. And I know what I'm going to do each week now. And people even send me jokes now, Ashley.
Can you do this joke? So we got a fan here. So Yudari, she loves your jokes. So thank you for sharing them, Ben. So hang on. You're saying that you have specifically got business because you tell jokes?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
And you've got personality.
Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. I know that. I know that. So here's the other thing, right? You're getting business from LinkedIn. People are messaging you on LinkedIn saying, "Can I work with you?" Is that right?
Yeah, I'm getting people, but I'm also people that I meet that I might know, because I'm posting on LinkedIn, I'm front of mind, and they then reach out and get in touch. So it's not just people that I've not met. Though I have connected and had a conversation with a guy because I commented about pork pies, and we connected over. He knew the best pork pie shop in Otley, which is not far from where I live.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm feeling really hungry now. That sounds awesome. Oh, why are you doing that to me and anyone else that's listening as well? Okay, so you do videos on LinkedIn and you tell jokes, all right? I'm a businessman, all right? And I'm thinking, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that? I'm not going to be working with this idiot that tells jokes. What do you say to me?
I'll be honest, at first, because I had somebody unfollowed me and I found out. And at first I was a bit gutted. But then after I'd thought about it, I thought, well, actually, do you know what? I probably don't want to work with these people anyway, and we probably wouldn't work. So what I'd say well, for me, it's works that I'm engaging with people that are like-minded, that I'd want to work with, that I'd want to work with me. And we can't work for everybody. So I've got over that now. And I think it's a really important thing for people using LinkedIn to get over. You can't be right for everyone. So now if people disconnect from me or go, I don't like it, it's like, that's fine. Probably won't work together anyway, but it's sort of separating the people out that do want to work with me and do want to engage with me. And for every person that don't like it, there'll be somebody that does.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the thing that you said, that you've got to get over yourself. And because there are people out there that love your accent, and there's people out there that don't love your accent. There's people that like yellow t-shirts. There's people that don't. There's people that don't like guitars. There's lots of, we are all different. And if we were all the same, oh my goodness, how boring would that be? But what you're doing is you've grabbed hold of it with both hands and you're running with it, and you're just being you. And the thing that I totally get from all of this is you're enjoying it and you're having fun. And so there's nothing else to say, is there?
100%. And I think one of the things, working for yourself and having your own business, as you'll know, is really stressful. And sometimes you're like, why do I do this and everything else? The people that you meet, and if I'm in a corporate world, I wouldn't be sat here in my branded stuff now. Probably wouldn't be telling jokes and stuff. But it's like, you can just be you. You can do what you want. I spoke to somebody yesterday and they're like, so exactly how does it work? I went, well, if I agree it with you, that's what we do. And that's pretty much my approach. It's like, when I first started out with LinkedIn and business, got quite stressful. And then I thought, you know what? As long as I've got money to pay bills and I enjoy myself and you've got opportunity and you're adding value to people, it's win-win, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ben, you're a great person to follow on LinkedIn. Thank you for doing my workshop. Thank you so much for coming on today and telling us all about what you're doing. I've got one more question for you before I go. But before that, I'm just going to let everybody know who I've got on next week. I have got James Gosling, who's from AJ Chambers, and he's a specialist in mergers and acquisitions. I don't know if do you get involved in any of that, Ben?
Yeah, I've been involved with businesses that are looking normally to exit, raise funds, maybe buy other businesses. So yeah, helping them out, depending on the size.
So I'll be finding out all about that next week with James. But Ben, finally, my question to you then. So when you were at school, primary school, so you were a little lad running around in shorts and pigtails. Maybe not the pigtails, but what did you want to be when you left school?
So it were between one of two things. So I either wanted to be a footballer, which is fairly stereotypical.
Yeah, but you live near the mighty Leeds, so who wouldn't want to be a footballer back then?
Or I wanted to work for British Gas because that's what my dad did.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. But you didn't. You ended up doing what you're doing and telling jokes on LinkedIn.
No, from the age of 13, Ashley, I knew I wanted to be an accountant.
Wow. What? That's amazing. From age 13.
13, yeah.
Why is that?
I enjoyed maths and numbers, and
Yep.
then my maths teacher was an accountant, or had previously been an accountant, and it's just like, right, that's what I want to be. It were a bank manager or an accountant. I thought an accountant was a better route. Didn't really know what I'd let myself in for, and then as soon as I started getting involved in businesses, it's like there's much more to this world than just numbers, but numbers help you go into other areas as well.
No, absolutely brilliant. And yeah, Ben, thank you so much. A great answer. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you to everybody for all of your comments and questions and stuff like that. And we will be back next week with James. Thanks ever so much indeed, Ben.
Cheers, Ashley. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye. You get out.